All right, so today we're going deep on non-resident Nepali citizenship.
NRN Citizenship.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be particularly interesting for all those Nepalis out there living all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've got huge Nepali diaspora communities everywhere, right?
Yeah, all over.
And, they may have questions about, like, what does it actually mean to stay connected to Nepal?
Right.
In a more formal sense.
Exactly.
So
This is for you guys.
yeah, this is kind of like your cheat sheet to NRN citizenship.
Yeah, your one-stop shop.
So we really want to break down what it means, what it gets you, and also maybe what it doesn't get you.
The good and the bad.
The benefits and the limitations.
Absolutely.
And, looking back, this whole idea is really grounded in that 2006 Nepal Citizenship Act.
Right.
And then we've got some pretty significant updates that came along with the 2020 amendment.
Huge changes.
Yeah, so big changes happening. So what we're really talking about here is this bridge, right?
Yeah.
It's like this formal connection for the Nepali diaspora to their homeland.
It's like a semi-citizenship.
The semi-citizenship. That's a good way to put it. So let's start with, like, the basics. Who's actually eligible for this NRN citizenship?
Okay, so there are a couple things that you have to kind of be able to check off.
Right.
The first one is you have to be of Nepali origin.
Okay.
Meaning that you or your parents or your grandparents were born as Nepali citizens.
Got it.
So you have that lineage there.
Okay.
Second thing is that you have to obtain citizenship of another country.
Okay.
Now, this is where it gets kind of specific.
Okay.
If you have citizenship in a SAARC nation,
Okay.
like India or Pakistan, Bangladesh,
Right.
that does not count towards this requirement.
Okay, so let's say I was born in Nepal,
Okay.
but now I'm a citizen of Australia or Canada.
Okay.
I would be in the running.
You got it.
But if I'm an Indian citizen, even if I have, Nepali background, I'm out.
Exactly.
Okay, that's a really important distinction, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then even before you go for the actual NRN citizenship, there's something else you need, right?
Yeah. So you have to obtain an NRN identity card.
Okay.
And you get that from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Nepal.
Right.
And once you have that, then you can apply for the citizenship.
Got it. So it's like step 1, get the NRN identity card.
Yep.
Step 2, apply for the NRN citizenship.
Exactly.
Okay. And that NRN citizenship, what's that give you?
That gives you a legal standing in Nepal.
Okay.
So you can do things like invest in different sectors
Okay.
and even own property.
So you've gone through this whole process. You've got your NRN citizenship in hand. What does that actually look like for you? What are the advantages here?
So one of the biggest things is this idea of economic empowerment.
Okay.
As an NRN citizen, you have the right to invest in tons of different sectors in Nepal.
Wow.
Real estate, hydropower,
Okay.
even IT, tourism, you name it.
Okay.
You can also start and run businesses in your own name.
Okay.
And most importantly, all of these investments are protected by Nepalese law.
Okay, so there's that security there.
Exactly. And you know what's really interesting? Studies have shown that money sent back to Nepal by NRNs is way more than the foreign aid that the country gets.
Wow, okay.
So this citizenship is really looking to bring in more direct investment from the diaspora,
Okay.
which could really change the economic landscape.
That's huge.
Yeah, it's not just about individuals.
Yeah.
It's about this collective power
Yeah.
of the diaspora.
Yeah, and beyond, like, the business and finance stuff, there's also that personal aspect of owning property, right?
Exactly. NRN citizenship lets you buy land and property in Nepal.
Wow.
Now, the government does set some limits on how much you can own.
Oh, okay.
And those rules can actually be different from district to district.
Oh, really? So it's not like a standard across the whole country.
Right. It can depend on local development plans or how they're using the land in that area.
Got it.
Like the rules for farmland might be different from what you can buy in a city.
Makes sense.
But still, that right to own property is a big deal. Yeah. It means you have a real connection to Nepal, a place you can call home, whether you're just visiting or maybe even thinking about moving back someday.
It's not just an investment. It's about having those roots.
Right.
It's interesting, too, because it seems like beyond the, like you said, the financial stuff and the property ownership, there's this whole cultural and emotional connection that's kind of tied into this citizenship.
Yeah, absolutely. For a lot of Nepalese, living abroad, keeping their culture alive, feeling like they belong.
Yeah.
That's so important for them and their kids.
Especially the kids who may have never even lived in Nepal.
Exactly. And this citizenship makes it easier for them to study or even work in Nepal if they want to.
Oh, okay.
And for those second-generation NRNs who maybe only know Nepal through stories,
Right.
this can be a really powerful symbol of their heritage.
Like a real tangible connection.
Exactly, like bringing those stories to life.
Wow. That's really powerful. So there are definitely some strong reasons to look into NRN citizenship, but like you said, it's important to understand the whole picture. What are some of the limitations that come with it?
One of the biggest ones is that you don't get any political rights.
Oh, really? Okay.
So as an NRN citizen, you can't vote in Nepali elections.
Okay.
You can't run for office.
Yeah.
And you can't hold any positions in the government.
Okay.
So for a lot of people in the diaspora who really care about Nepal's future
Mm-hmm.
and they follow politics closely,
Yeah.
not having that voice can be really frustrating.
Yeah, like you can contribute to the economy, you can buy property, but you don't get a say in how the country's run.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there are definitely some discussions happening in the NRN community about pushing for more political participation.
That makes sense. And then those restrictions around property ownership we were talking about earlier, this can be tough too, right?
Yeah, those limits on how much land or property you can own can feel pretty restrictive, especially if someone has a lot of resources, really big plans.
Mm-hmm.
And then to make things even trickier, the way those rules are applied can change from one district to the next.
Right, we were talking about that earlier.
Yeah, and that can cause a lot of confusion and delays for NRNs trying to buy property.
It seems like that would be a big headache.
Definitely not always easy.
And then we can't forget about Nepal's policy on dual citizenship.
Right, that's a big one.
Yeah, how does that play into all of this?
So right now, Nepal doesn't allow dual citizenship.
Okay.
So if you become a citizen of another country,
Mm-hmm.
you automatically lose your Nepali citizenship.
Okay.
NRN citizenship is meant to be a way to keep that connection going,
Yeah,
but it's not the same as having full Nepali citizenship.
right. It's not like you get both.
Exactly. And that can sometimes leave people feeling stuck in this weird in-between space.
Like they're not quite one or the other.
Yeah, like they don't fully belong anywhere.
That's a tough spot to be in. And then just getting through the process of getting NRN status sounds like it can be a journey in itself.
Yeah, it can be pretty bureaucratic.
Yeah.
Lots of paperwork trips to government offices.
Oh, gosh.
And to make things worse, the rules can change without much warning.
Oh, no.
So it can be really confusing and discouraging.
Yeah, I bet.
Not always a smooth ride.
So let's talk about some real-world examples. Like, how does this actually play out for people?
Okay, so there's this guy, Depesh Gurum. He's been living in Canada for years.
Okay.
And he went through the whole process of applying for NRN citizenship,
Mm-hmm.
specifically so he could buy some land in Pokhara and retire there.
Okay.
He did everything by the book, filled out all the paperwork.
Yeah.
But he hit all these roadblocks, bureaucratic delays.
Really?
And then he found out that some of the regulations had changed.
Oh, no.
It took him over a year
Why?
just to get everything approved.
Gosh, that sounds so frustrating.
Yeah, it definitely highlights those challenges that NRNs can face.
Yeah, like it's not as simple as it might seem on paper.
Exactly.
Mm.
But it's not all bad news.
Okay.
There are also a ton of positive stories of NRNs doing great things in Nepal.
Oh, good. I was hoping you'd say that.
Yeah, for example, there's this NRN from the UK who started a tech company in Kathmandu.
Okay.
He's creating jobs, bringing in fresh ideas,
Wow.
building international connections. It's great.
That's fantastic. So it sounds like there's a lot of potential there, but also some real hurdles to overcome.
Exactly.
So looking ahead, what are some things that could change or improve with NRN citizenship?
Well, there are some interesting ideas being tossed around.
Like what?
Well, one big one is dual citizenship.
Okay.
Maybe with some conditions or limits so it doesn't diminish what it means to be Nepali.
Right. I see.
But it acknowledges that people have lives in other countries too.
Yeah. And those lives are real.
Exactly.
And their connections to those countries are real.
Yeah. Another idea is to gradually give NRNs more rights.
Okay. Like what kind of right?
Well, it could start with being able to vote in local elections.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe having some advisory roles in the government.
Right. So they have some say in what's going on.
Exactly.
That sounds promising. And in terms of making the whole process easier, what are people saying?
A lot of people are pushing for a more streamlined application process.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like making it more digital and transparent
Okay.
and making sure the rules are clear and consistent.
So it's not such a maze to figure out.
Right. And then there's also a need for more public awareness in Nepal
Okay.
so that government officials and regular people understand the importance of the NRN community.
Yeah, like what they bring to the table.
Exactly.
It seems like there's a lot of work to be done, but also a lot of exciting possibilities for the future.
Definitely, it's about strengthening that bond between Nepal and its diaspora.
For sure. So at the end of the day, what's NRN citizenship really all about?
It's about that feeling of belonging,
Mm-hmm.
that connection to where you come from,
Yeah.
no matter where life takes you.
And recognizing that those ties are important.
Exact.
And it's about making sure that NRNs have the right to keep those connections alive, to contribute to Nepal in their own way.
Yeah.
And to be recognized for everything they bring to the table.
Absolutely, whether it's financial, emotional, cultural.
It's about that whole global Nepali community.
Exactly.
And for anyone listening out there who's a non-resident Nepali themselves, I think it's worth thinking about what this all means to you. Your own experiences and that connection to Nepal.
It's a powerful thing.
It really is. And it makes you think about how our ideas about citizenship are changing in this globalized world.
Yeah.
Like, what does it even mean to be connected across borders?
It's a question we're all figuring out.
Exactly.
It's still unfolding.
It is, and it's going to be fascinating to see where it all goes.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We'll catch you next time.